Good morning, guys. Welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation. I'm Owen James. This is your Rangers news update for the 10th of November. Guys, we're going to look back, obviously, on a good victory for Rangers yesterday. A 3-0 win over Dundee at Dens Park. The only ground, obviously, that is affected by global warming in Dundee. And also, we're going to look at a little bit at an issue I think there is still within this. Well, there's a few, but one of the biggest issues for me within the team. And that's around the striker position. I think there's a major problem with our strikers at this moment in time, and it's something that does need to be addressed. But do you trust Kevin Thelwell to address that issue? That is the question. Right, look, it was a good win yesterday, a 3-0 victory. A performance of two halves. I thought the first half was very good indeed. 2-0 up, could have been 3-0. We'll talk about that. Second half, not so great. Substitutions, I think, killed the game. Bringing on Yusuf Chimiti again, huge mistake. The guy is just fucking diabolical. He is just genuinely... I mean, let's face it, he didn't even know who he was playing yesterday, did he? I mean, if you haven't seen it, guys, he posted an Instagram story where he was saying that he was playing Dundee United on Sunday. Yes, that's right. He obviously is only aware of one team in Dundee. Honestly, the guy is just, I mean, can he do anything right? He is honestly one of the worst footballers I have ever seen in my life. I would rather have some fat lad from down the park up front than Yusuf Chimiti. 8.5 million. Don't make me laugh. I wouldn't give you 8.5 million dong for that player. That's the Vietnamese currency, not some rude penis joke just to get across to you. Right, look, I thought first half, some good performances in the first half. I thought Mikey Moore was absolutely excellent. It does seem to be that since obviously pushing him a bit further inside, and also Danny Rule has certainly got the best out of Mikey Moore. It does appear that the issue around Mikey Moore, once again, like it has been with a number of players, is the Russell Martin issue. I mean, that man severely is killing careers. A man who, like I said, is about as much use as windscreen wipers on a submarine. But Mikey Moore, I thought, played really well. He got his goal, a great finish. I mean, a superb finish. He goes through, gives the keeper the eyes, puts it in the other corner. Fantastic finish. Absolutely fantastic finish. Real finish of composure for one so young. A great goal by Nico as well, the header. I mean, Nico seems to specialise in headers, even though he's such a mini boy out there. But, a good performance. A clean sheet, which is always a bonus as well. Jack pulled off some good saves too. Overall, the performance was a good one. Like I said, the second half, not so good. A great ping by JD for the final goal. But look, overall, it was good. It was very good. And it's about getting... for me, the start of momentum and domestic momentum. And that's what it's about. I mean, personally, I think we write off Europe now. We just say, look, we'll treat it as what it is. We'll play some of the young players. We'll play some of the squad players. I genuinely don't think we need to bother with the whole situation with Europe now. I think that we need to kind of write that one off and focus solely on getting a bit of kind of momentum domestically. I thought Nico was excellent yesterday, played really well. He was in control of the game, played very well indeed. Mikey Moore, excellent yesterday. I thought the defence were very good yesterday as well. Overall, obviously it was only Dundee. I think the forward options were poor. I didn't think that any of the forwards particularly covered themselves in glory, and I'll touch on that a bit more in a moment. It could have been 3-0 going into half-time. Mikey Moore's goal disallowed because apparently Mo Diamonde was interfering with play by being stood in front of the goalkeeper when Danilo took the initial shot, which the goalkeeper saved. Therefore, how was Diamonde interfering with play? Because the goalkeeper saw the ball all the way and saved it. Surely, if he had his eye line taken by Diamonde, he wouldn't have saved it. Therefore, it would have gone in. Therefore, you could have disallowed. I genuinely don't get what they look for at times. I'll say what I've always said. There's nothing wrong with VAR. VAR is a great system. It's one of the best systems in football. It's a brilliant system. However, the problem with VAR is the fact that it is run by humans and human idiots. And I think the level of refereeing in Scotland and VAR officials in Scotland is just so poor. I mean, genuinely is. You get three blokes out of a pub who could do a better job. But that is the problem with the VAR system. If the VAR system was solely AI-based and computer-based and matter-of-fact-based, I don't think you'd get anywhere near the level of mistake that you get with humans. I think the human error factor is what makes VAR so imperfect and leads to ridiculous decisions where You look at it and go, how have they come to that decision? Genuinely, how have they come to that decision? Which leads to then, of course, allegations of corruption, allegations of anti-Rangers leanings within the refereeing community. Look, and it is what it is, guys. But at the end of the day, referees are just useless in Scotland, and that's the big thing. And VAR there's nothing wrong with VAR. I won't have a word said against it. It's the people that run it that are the problem. That goal should never have been disallowed. I don't get why it was disallowed. There was no need to disallow it. It's pathetic. And, it's like Mark Goldbridge said yesterday of the Van Dijk goal from Liverpool against Man City. He said that the player's not active. He stood still. The only thing he does is get out of the way of the ball. Same with you can apply the same to Diamonde. He's not active. He stood still. He makes no play for the ball. He makes no attempt to play for the ball. Therefore, he's not involved. Therefore, to rule the goal out is just ridiculous on that issue. So, look, it was a good performance, and for me now, it's about building that momentum domestically moving forward. However, one thing that I do think that we have as a major issue at Rangers Football Club at this moment in time is our forward line. So as we stand on the 10th of November today, between the three of them, between a striker cohort that cost in the region of around about, let's do 19 million pounds, we've scored 4 goals. Contrast that with the Hearts forward line of Lawrence Shankland and Claudio Braga, who have scored 13 goals between the two of them, and they cost effectively, if you take Shankland has been a free transfer this season, they cost £800,000. Yes, wonderful. Shows great business, doesn't it? I honestly think, I don't know why we didn't go for Shankland. He basically wanted to come. He would have been free. He'd have been better than all 3 of these players. He'd have scored more goals than all 3 of these players in this Rangers team. I think it was a mistake. I think it was a huge mistake. I think spending £8.5 million on a centre forward that looks more like a donkey, and apparently there's no truth to the rumour that Chimiti is donkey or cart horse in Portuguese. That's what I've been told. Look, do I think it's all down to these players? Chimiti, yes. I think he's just shit. Danilo, I think, is still finding his way back into the team. I don't think Danilo is an out-and-out striker, however. I think he's more a player who drifts in and plays as a 10 than plays as an out-and-out striker. So I think to kind of buy him as a striker and to say you're going to use him as a 9 and try and use him as a 9 is a bit like not using him in the right way. Miovski yesterday was dreadful. Yes, his hold-up play was appalling, but that's not his game. That's not the way he plays the game. Miovski plays on the shoulder of the last defender and runs onto balls slip through. If you go back to his time at Aberdeen, that's how they got the best out of him, by playing him on the shoulder of the last man and playing balls through for him to score goals, something we don't do. Now, it may be that he doesn't fit our system, so then you argue, why did you buy him if he doesn't fit the system, which I think is a great argument. Chimiti, to me, his hold-up play is poor, his positional play is poor, his first touch is poor, his ability to take chances is poor. And like I said, Danilo, at times, has looked all right, and at other times has looked average, which when you pay £6 million, which I know in the galactic global scheme of football is not a lot of money, not when you can sort of look at the money that forwards like Alexander Isak, Benjamin Šeško, Victor Gyökeres are going for, then yeah, granted, £8.5–6 million ain't a lot of money, but it is to Scotland. It is in Scotland, and I think that's something you've got to kind of put a bit of perspective on this one. And I think, we sit here and we take the piss out of Celtic for paying, when they paid $9 million for Adam Idah. I'd take Adam Idah over Yusuf Chimiti any day of the week, and twice on a Sunday. Look, I think per se these 4 are poor. They are very, very poor. We took 60 goals out of the team last season, and I was no fan of Cyril Dessers. But Dessers, Igaman, who I think we should have played more often. He may have stayed for another season if we'd done that. He's looking amazing in France, scoring goals right, left and centre. And obviously Cheney, who we couldn't keep, which again I don't know why we didn't, when we could have used less than the Chimiti money to buy Cheney. James doesn't make any sense. They contributed 60 goals last season, and I think it was 20-30 assists as well. And we've replaced them with these 3 who, like I said, make the Chuckle brothers look efficient. We do need to sign a striker. We 100% need to sign a striker, but my concern is that, one, I don't think we will. If you look across the last few seasons, the history of Rangers, we've kind of operated on 3 strikers. Now, unless one of those strikers goes in January, I generally don't see us bringing a striker in, which we need to do if we're going to kick on. Now, I'm not sitting here and telling you that if we go and sign a striker in January, we win the league, but we do need to at least get that second place. So I think that is one thing that we need to consider. Now, the other obviously big concern is, do you trust Kevin Thelwell with money? No, I don't. The same way that I wouldn't trust an alcoholic in a whiskey factory, I don't trust Kevin Thelwell in the slightest to spend money wisely in January. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's the old vicious circle of things, not the horrible hexagon. It's a big issue for me. I do think that we do need to sack Kevin Thelwell. I'll say this and I'll keep saying this. And we do need to bring someone in who knows what they're doing. But we do need a striker in January, because it is a massive issue. Because the lack of goals are going to kill us in the long run. They really are. We are creating more chances now, but we're not taking them. There's misses Chimity's had against Celtic. He takes both those. It's a different game. He misses that chance against Roma. He takes that. It's a different game. There's too many misses. There's too many easy misses going on that a decent striker wouldn't do. So, and there's value out there. Hearts have proved that. Claudio Braga, decent value. Dundee United last season with Sam Dolby. There's proved there is value to be had out there if you can find it. But that requires on you to have someone who knows what they're doing and is good at their job, which Kevin Thelwell quite clearly isn't. But to me, this is a big issue that does need to be addressed. Yes, there are loads of other issues. The defence does need addressing, etc., etc. But I think the lack of goals is a thing that's going to really hurt Rangers for the rest of this season. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will catch you on the next one.